The day before the wedding, my fiancé crashed his car. When I reached Eastbrook, he was cradling another woman, his eyes ice cold. Who are you? After the doctors told me he'd lost his memory, I cancelled the ceremony. Then, on his birthday, I overheard him and his best buddy. Julian, how long are you going to string this out before you marry Mia? Julian's voice came, devoted and chilly at once. I'll think about it after Serena's birthday. But when I slapped our marriage certificate on the table in front of him, he completely lost it. Before we go on, please subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're tuning in from. The private lounge door stood ajar, the conversation drifting through it froze me mid-step. Julian, aren't you scared Mia will dump you when she learns the truth? Julian sounded lazy. She won't. She chased me so single-mindedly back then just to get that ring. Her parents are gone, I'm the only family she has left. When the time comes, I'll coax her and she'll cool off. Right now Serena needs me more. The rest of the guys hooted. Our Julian's unbeatable. But what if Serena changes her mind and says yes? Then what? Another laughed. He'll just kick dumb Mia to the curb. Julian's low, detached voice cut in again. At that point, I'll explain everything to her properly. My heart lurched, the gift box slipped and clattered to the floor. The door swung open, and the guy who'd opened it paled when he saw me. Mia, how long have you been here? Just arrived. My tone was level, the man exhaled in relief. I bent, picked up the gift, and walked inside. Julian had a flushed, drunk woman leaning against him, his long yearned for white moonlight, Serena. A flicker of guilt crossed his face before it settled back into composure. Mia, what are you doing here? I told you I'd think about our wedding once my memory comes back. Think about it, so I was nothing but an optional line item on his to-do list. I set the gift in front of him. This was the one thing you wanted most back then. Then I fled. He hadn't lost his memory, he just didn't want to marry me. He was still waiting for Serena to change her mind. After college I became Julian's assistant. The man whose photo had been pinned to the campus bulletin board had been my idol all 4 years. When coworkers mentioned the woman he loved had gone abroad, the heart that adored him started fluttering again. After countless nights of drinking on his behalf, Julian finally drove me home himself. In the close, dim car he turned to me, serious. Mia, how about we give it a try? The year my parents died in that crash, he took meticulous care of me, holding me while he whispered, Mia, from now on I'm the only family you have left. After that I shadowed him like an accessory, showing up at every event. Until the day Serena flew back. A different light sparked in his eyes. My ringing phone yanked me out of the memory. Mia, Julian's wasted, come pick him up. Thinking of everyone who'd known the truth and helped him spin me in circles, I snapped into the receiver, take him yourselves. I'm busy tonight. I hung up before he could answer. I sat alone at Velvet for hours, but eventually I went back to that house. The instant I opened the bedroom door, Julian stood there in nothing but a towel. A woman lay on the bed. I didn't ask, I just turned toward the guest room. Julian caught up and grabbed my arm. Serena was drunk, I was afraid something might happen, so I brought her home. Even if you're my girlfriend, Serena's family to me. Family, turned out he had plenty of relatives in this world. 2. Maybe it was the cold wind, I felt awful and took the next day off. When I woke, the table was heaped with an ornate breakfast. Serena greeted me with a smile. Sterling, Julian, and I grew up together, we're very close. I kept my head down, gnawing toast, saying nothing, and she rattled on. Julian's lost parts of his memory, some trivial bits. Trivial, nice. I live. Ted the glass of milk beside me and took a gulp. The scalding milk seared my throat. Serena suddenly lunged forward, just in time to collide with my flailing hand and the flying milk. She shrieked. A door burst open and Julian rushed out. His face filled with worry as he cradled Serena's hand to check it. Then he spun toward me, fury blazing. Mia, you did that on purpose? You know how vital next week's piano recital is to Serena? I never realized you were this jealous. The burn in my throat left me too weak to argue. Before I could speak he scooped Serena up and dashed out. He didn't come back until nightfall. I was in the living room eating congee when he strode over, snatched the bowl, and smashed it to the floor. Porcelain shattered as he roared, Mia, if the burn had been worse she might never play piano again. You almost ruined her. I had nothing left to say, only sorry that the only food I could swallow now lay wasted. I drew a breath, pulled out my phone, and typed, she crashed into the milk herself. It wasn't intentional. Flustered, I kept typing, trying to explain. Julian wrenched the phone from my hand and hurled it to the ground. Mia, you've disappointed me completely. Next second he seized my arm, hauled me up, and dragged me toward the door. You hurt Serena and now you want to dodge responsibility? You're going to apologize to her until she forgives you. I struggled, but he shoved me into the car. We headed for Eastbrook, my heart as icy as the pavement outside. Inside the hospital room, Serena lay there pale, her hand swaddled in thick bandages. Julian dragged me inside. Apologize. I opened my mouth, but only a faint rasp came out. A terrified nurse beside me noticed first and hurried over. Miss, your throat's badly scalded. If you don't treat it, it'll get worse. A flicker of something crossed Julian's face, his voice dropped. Don't play pathetic to dodge responsibility. Apologize to Serena first, then see to your wound. The nurse GLA said between us, opening her mouth again, but I lifted a hand to stop her. I borrowed her pen and scribbled a line. Delacroix, I'm sorry. I'm giving Julian back to you. Julian's expression darkened in an instant. Mia, what does that mean? Giving me back to Serena? His voice rose without him noticing. You said you were my girlfriend, or were you lying the whole time? Even now he kept pretending he'd lost his memory, but I was done playing the fool. I bent in a deep bow, then spun and fled the room, ignoring his roar behind me. Outside the hospital I felt something trickling away like sand. The night wind was brutal, I hugged myself for warmth. The next second a coat settled over my shoulders. I turned and saw a familiar face, Ethan, back from abroad. Ethan had been my friend since we could walk. The day Julian and I announced we were together, he'd left the country. Now he stood over me, tall and steady. So? Julian dumped you? I punched his arm, eyes red, and nodded. When I finished typing the whole story on my phone, Ethan clenched a fist and muttered he'd go beat Julian up. I yanked him back. Then the man in front of me dropped to one knee. Mia, how about we give it a shot? Those same words, once Julian's, flashed through my mind, my nose stung and tears slid down. Ethan panicked, pulled me into a hug, and patted my back. Okay, don't cry, I was joking. Honestly, my mom's been hounding me. I need someone to run interference. I pushed him away and typed a single word on my phone, deal. With Ethan's help I moved out of the Vance mansion. Probably because of Serena, Julian never came looking. After all, he was amnesiac, too risky to be exposed. Ethan's parents flew back from overseas. On the morning of our engagement I reached the hotel in my gown and almost collided with Julian at the entrance. He stared, displeasure written across his face. Mia, you know it's Serena's birthday. Why dress like that? The crowd around us started to catcall. Mia's been gone forever, looks like she's here to propose to Julian. Julian flushed slightly. I pulled a folder from my bag and offered it to him. Vance, my resignation letter. Thank you for everything these years. The lobby fell silent. Julian took the envelope, stunned, then furious. Mia, using your resignation to force me into marriage? He flung the letter back at me. Until my memory returns, don't make this ugly. Before he could finish, Serena slipped her arm through his. Julian, let's go inside. All our friends are waiting. She smirked at me. Sterling, join us. I didn't send you an invite, but as Julian's assistant I'm delighted you came. She bit down hard on the word assistant. I didn't answer, simply turned toward the other ballroom, but Julian caught my arm. Mia, what are you planning? Whatever it is, save it for later. If you ruin her birthday, I'll never forgive you. Feeling the pitying stares, my cheeks burned. Maybe Julian realized he'd gone too far, he let go. I know forgetting everything isn't fair to you, he muttered. I gave a cold laugh and shook him off. Julian, my resignation is a notice, not a request. Our breakup was settled in that hospital room. Today I'm here to get married, not to watch your drama. His face darkened further, voice low. Mia, if you still want to marry me, stop this circus. He exchanged a reassuring glance with Serena. After her party I'll give you an answer. Serena was dressed like a bride, anyone would think this was their engagement. I snorted, took a red booklet from my clutch, and held it up for everyone to see. Julian, look carefully, I'm already married. 4. Silence crashed over the hallway, every gaze swung to Julian. His best friend blurted, Mia, you're joking, right? That certificate's fake, you're just messing with him. Marriage is serious, Mia. Don't do something reckless out of spite. I ignored them and headed for my own banquet hall. Julian caught my arm again. Serena spoke first. Julian, since Sterling is married, let's wish her well. After all, you've forgotten the past. Julian acted as if he hadn't heard, he towed me toward the door. Mia, we need to talk, now. I wrenched free with all my strength. Vance, I'm no longer your employee. Keep your distance. No one dared intervene, even Serena loosened her grip on his arm. Only, the look she gave me was pure jealousy. A fist suddenly slammed into Julian's face. Ethan pulled me behind him, looked me over top to bottom, and didn't exhale until he was sure I was unhurt. Julian, I warned you, if you ever hurt Mia, I'd take her away from you. Tonight is my engagement party with Mia. What the hell do you think you're doing? Julian didn't answer. His gaze was nailed to Ethan's hand resting on my waist. Serena hurried over, helped Julian up, then pointed at me and shouted, "Sterling, you ran off with another man while Julian had amnesia. I'd say you betrayed him long before that." The people around us began looking at me with open disgust. "Mia, you were with Julian for years and you're sneaking around behind his back? After everything Julian did for you, this is how you repay him?" I laughed out loud. "Delacroix, do you give yourself the same lecture when you're cuddling someone else's boyfriend? Julian lost his memory, not a lover. If you two are the real thing, congratulations, I'll step aside." Serena's eyes turned red in an instant. She turned to Julian, brimming with grievance. But Julian didn't move, only panic suddenly flashed across his face. "Mia, you promised to wait until I remembered. I won't let you break up." Wait. I'd waited, only to watch him walk away with Serena in his arms. I'd waited until every scrap of his rage and distrust was hurled at me for her sake. I reached for Ethan's hand and walked away without looking back. "Julian, I've forgotten everything. From the day he pretended to forget, I should have forgotten too." The circus was over, Serena's birthday banquet had to go on. For weeks, Julian had stayed at Eastbrook to take care of Serena. Now, finally back in his own house, he found every trace of me erased. Even the sheets I'd once slept on had been replaced. Eleanor spoke carefully. "Vance, did you and Sterling break up? She was scalded so badly that morning, was she all right afterward?" Pressed by Julian, Eleanor told the whole story. That morning, Delacroix prepared the breakfast. I even warned her it was too hot. "But Sterling drank it and got burned, and you still carried Delacroix away." I couldn't understand. Eleanor had worked here for years, she knew Julian and me inside out. Her words sent his heart plummeting. He had heard Serena scream, assumed I'd hurt her out of jealousy, and rushed out. Julian was crushed. How could I give up so easily? Back in his room, he suddenly noticed the box on the nightstand. A birthday gift from me. He opened it, curious. Inside was an oil portrait of the mother he'd lost years ago. Julian traced her painted face with his thumb. After his parents divorced, his mother had moved to France. She'd lived there until her death, only then, from a neighbor, did he learn the painting existed. I'd remembered a passing remark he'd made, flown to France, searched for weeks, and spent every dollar I had to buy it from the artist. Serena had been the bright moon he'd kept in his hands when they were kids. I wasn't the moon, only the person who'd stayed beside him with everything I had. Julian placed the painting gently back, pressed a hand to his chest, and sat on the edge of the bed. When he looked up, he realized I had taken even the wall lamp we'd both loved. At the party, Julian never declared his love as everyone expected. Yet Serena proclaimed hers to him in front of the crowd. He should have been ecstatic, that had been the dream he'd guarded since she moved abroad. It was the wish he'd buried inside since he was 17. But the moment he saw me walk away without a second glance, he knew the dream had shattered. When Evrio and he began chanting that they should be together, he fled, stumbling, disheveled, straight home. The house was empty of me. No one jumped into his arms the instant the door opened. No one snuggled against him at night, refusing to sleep. He yanked out his phone and dialed me over and over. At the banquet I stared at the screen, frowned, and, steeling myself, blocked the number, blocked every way Julian could reach me. Ethan asked with a smile, "Sure you're ready? You once worshipped that man." The smile vanished, he drained his glass. "If you change your mind, I'll help you." I sipped my own drink, the burn of alcohol cleared my head. The day I caught his lie, we were finished. 5. I saw Julian again at a project pitch. Serena was beside him. From the instant I walked in, his eyes never left me. I pretended not to notice and calmly presented my proposal. I'd expected a brutal fight, but Vance was far weaker than before. The contract slid effortlessly into my hands. As we left, Serena approached. "Sterling, rivals now? You must have bent over backwards scheming against Julian. Found yourself a powerful sugar daddy after you left him, I see." I lifted the pitch deck and smiled. "Delacroix, is this how you think business works? Wine, shed a few tears, and men hand you trophies?" Serena's face flamed, she swung at me, but Julian caught her wrist. Onlookers whispered, their stares turning to scorn. Serena flushed crimson. Julian, you'll let her humiliate me? Julian's low voice cut in. Serena, enough. We lost on merit. She slapped him hard. You've changed, you were never like this. I'd had my fill of their soap opera. Outside, Ethan waited in the car. 1 foot inside, I felt an arm latch onto mine. Julian's cheek was crimson as he stared at me, pleading. Mia, please, let's talk. Ethan's fist was already raised when I stopped him. In the cafe, Julian spoke first. Mia, what do I have to do for you to forgive me? Even if everything before was my fault, you can't punish yourself for the rest of your life. I reached for my cup, the diamond on my finger flashed, announcing exactly who I now was. I never do anything I'll regret. Julian, the moment you chose to lie to me, we were finished. I came here only to tell you, don't let one woman drag the whole company down. Dance was the only thing Julian's father had left him. A friend had once told me, she'd seen Serena on a date with a man she didn't recognize. Julian, is this the reckoning you deserve? That was all the warning I could give. When I got home, Ethan pulled me against the wall, clearly unhappy. Mia, the way he looked at you, I hated it. I rose on my toes and brushed a kiss across his cheek. He jerked back as if he'd been shocked. Mia, you're playing with fire. I ducked under his arm, laughing. Ethan, I'm not ready yet. I wasn't ready to rush into another relationship so soon. The next day Eleanor set a box in front of me. This is Ethan's. The code is your birthday. Curious, I opened it. Inside was the childhood hairpin I'd lost years ago, and a small diary. He's been chasing after you since sandbox days. When he heard you had a boyfriend, he finally went abroad. This time, the moment he learned someone had hurt you, he flew straight back. Eleanor squeezed my hands, smiling. Mia, I've watched you grow up. I know you'll never let Ethan down. I nodded. I had spent years chasing Julian, never realizing someone had been standing behind me the whole time. Once a decision is made, you make the life you've chosen work. But one evening after work my car broke down on the drive home. While I was checking the engine, several men appeared and chloroformed me. When I woke, Serena's face hovered over mine. Her expression was vicious, she slapped me hard. Mia, how can the few years you spent with Julian compare to the lifetime he and I have shared? Because of a couple of sentences from you, he started doubting me. Why? I voiced the suspicion that had been gnawing at me. Serena, J. Julian loves you so much, why would you still try to destroy his company? The woman laughed, wild and unhinged. Love? What is love? Is a man's love worth anything? Plenty of men love me, Julian was simply the most useful. If it weren't for you, I'd already be Vance. She pinched my chin, jealousy burning in her eyes. A woman like you, what right do you have to keep him hooked? Her phone rang, after one glance she sneered. He actually intends to sign away every single share, for a woman like you. Julian has really changed, really changed. She murmured the words, as if trying to convince herself. Then this just got simpler. She shoved the phone in front of me. Mia, since both Julian and Ethan are willing to trade their entire companies for you, you choose. 6. I bit Serena's hand hard. I choose neither. Go ahead, kill me, you'll walk away with nothing. The madness drained from her eyes, she stared at me coldly. Kill you? How generous. I'm going to make you beg for death. She called several men inside. Tell me, if Julian and Ethan see you like this, will they still fight over you? I'll record your filthiest moment and send us all to hell together. The woman had truly lost her mind. Serena raised her phone, filming. Mia, no one takes anything from me, especially not Julian. As long as I ruin you, he'll come back. The men stepped closer. I drew a slow breath, scrambling for time, then a deafening roar shook the roof. Serena whirled toward the sound, disbelieving. Impossible, who is that? The breath I'd been holding rushed out. Someone had been tailing me for days, I'd told Ethan. He'd had a GPS tracker installed on my phone. The moment Serena threatened him, I knew he'd be on his way. And the Sterling family's only helicopter was the fastest ride in Eastbrook. The next second the warehouse doors crashed open. Julian and Ethan strode in, frantic. Serena, let Mia go. You'll get everything I promised. Julian's words snapped her last thread of control. She produced a knife and pressed it to my throat. Mia, you really are lucky, 2 men ready to lose everything for you. She shot Julian a wounded look. Julian, she doesn't love you anymore. Why won't you take me? Her shriek made Julian's brows knit, then his gaze softened and he stepped forward. Serena, I've already announced our engagement. Soon you'll be Vance. Sanity flickered back into her eyes, bright with hope. Julian, I knew you still loved me. Gently he coaxed her to lower the knife and folded her into his arms. Ethan ran over, untied me, and pulled me tight against him. A shrill scream tore the air as silver handcuffs snapped around Serena's wrists. Why? Why did you lie to me? Julian kicked her away. I could overlook the money you siphoned, that was my debt to you. But the instant you hurt Mia, this became your fate. Serena didn't even cry as the officers let her out, she looked hollow. Only later did I learn the rest. After joining Julian's company, Serena didn't merely exploit her position to siphon off huge amounts of money, she also made a sport of crushing anyone who dared say a kind word about me. The colleagues she targeted suffered so much that, one after another, they handed in their resignations, until Julian finally sensed something was wrong. Behind bars, Serena clung to silence, refusing to say where a single stolen dollar had gone. The hemorrhage left Vance teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. A few months later, I walked in as the new majority owner. While the acquisition papers lay between us, Julian kept staring at the gentle curve beneath my silk blouse, so lost that the pen snapped in his hand without his noticing. Vance, every camera in Eastbrook is pointed at us. Sign, and I can go do my job. My bump was just beginning to show, but my smile was all business. It had been a complete accident. On Ethan's birthday we'd both drunk too much champagne, somehow we'd ended up in the same bed. The following month the little blue line ma did its quiet announcement. The instant the ink dried, Julian murmured, if we'd never split, our child would be this big by now. My heart lurched, I shook my head. Julian, we all have to move forward. Somewhere out there a better fit is waiting for you. He opened his mouth, closed it again, turned away. Downstairs Ethan was waiting beside the car. If you'd taken 5 more minutes I swear I'd have called 911. Every time Julian sees you he looks ready to throw you over his shoulder and drag you home. I'm this close to locking you in the penthouse. I pinched his cheek. Could you act like a soon-to-be father instead of a jealous teenager? He folded me into his arms and pressed his face to my neck. All those years I stepped back and let him have you, you have no idea how I ached. I keep thinking, if I'd told you sooner, maybe none of the hurt would have happened. My eyes stung, I dug my fingers into his waist. Ethan, meeting you was the luckiest break of my life. Without him I never would have clawed my way out of Julian's quicksand. I rested my hand on the new roundness under my dress, our fresh start made flesh. Julian, epilogue the night before what was supposed to be my wedding, Serena showed up drunk, mascara streaked, wailing that the latest man had gutted her. She said I was the only good one left, then collapsed against my chest and fell asleep. Years ago she'd flown off with someone else before I could confess my feelings. Ever since the day she'd pulled me from the pool when we were kids, I'd carried a torch for her. Suddenly the fantasy felt within reach, and Mia became collateral damage. So I staged a crash and faked amnesia to chase a boyhood dream. But Mia refused to play along. She even scalded Serena with hot milk. When I demanded an apology she said she was done, and walked. Impossible. Mia's universe orbited only me, she could never leave. I told myself I'd stay with Serena until after her birthday, then beg Mia to forgive me. Instead, on Serena's birthday, I opened a small red book and saw the marriage photo. The girl who once lived for me had vanished. Eleanor told me it was Serena who set the milk trap, and the illusion shattered. My perfect white moonlight had rotted, and I'd used her decay to wound the woman who truly loved me. When I unwrapped the gift Mia had prepared, every ticket stub, every photo, every inside joke, my chest caved in. She'd erased me, blacklisted, blocked, gone. Our next encounter was her urging me to watch my back around Serena. The day I discovered Serena in another man's arms, the last star of my youth blinked out. Unlike Mia's radiant devotion, Serena's affection came hedged and priced. The afternoon Mia was taken, I was frantic. I'd have signed away every last share for her safety. But Ethan had already wired the buyout and arranged the takedown. Seeing Mia bound in that warehouse, I wanted to strangle Serena with my bare hands. Instead I hired the city's sharpest prosecutor and locked Serena away for life. Let her rot while the decades grind by, let every sunrise remind her what she threw away. Ethan, epilogue I have loved Mia for so long the calendar page feels like a fiction. Watching the girl I raised from sandbox weddings pledge herself to someone else was a pain no x-ray could locate. I fled overseas to cauterize the wound, yet I still WhatsApped her friends for scraps of her days, each smile or sigh about Julian a blade I couldn't drop. The day I heard how he'd hurt her, I abandoned every meeting and caught the first flight home. I accidentally ran into her outside Eastbrook, tears still fresh on her face. When I blurted out the clumsiest proposal on record, she said yes, knowing full well I was a bandage, not the cure. So be it. Give me 1 inch and I'd sprint the mile. I would spend the rest of my life proving I was the constant Julian could never be. Mia signed the marriage certificate. Mia carried her boxes into my penthouse. Mia became my assistant, my sunrise, my loss. Tea call of the night. Mia kissed me first. Mia let me rush the kidnapper's warehouse. Mia got tipsy on peach bellinis and finally let me stay. Now the woman I once released to another man sleeps in my arms, her breath fanning across my chest. I have never known a happiness this quiet, this complete. Thank you for listening to our story. If you loved the journey, please like and share the video, and tell us your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more sweeping romances. See you next time.